Hey, this is Dave Pryor. We're here live at Agile 2019 in the Leading Agile booth doing interviews all week long with speakers and thought leaders and folks that are helping other people learn how to do Agile. And I have two of those people here. So Shannon Ewan and Ahmed Sidky from ICAgile. And before we start getting into the new things that are going on, how do you guys explain ICAgile to people, like if they're not familiar with it?
Sure.
What do you guys do?
Yeah, so ICAgile actually stands for the International Consortium for Agile.
Okay.
And we are an accreditation and certification body, and we exist to advance the state of Agile learning globally.
Okay.
And the way we do that really in three ways. It's by facilitating thought leadership. So we bring together the international community of experts around certain topics to create learning tracks. The second is we create competency-based learning journeys. So we look at not only what are the knowledge components needed, but what competencies do people need to build in order to become an expert in a given discipline.
Okay.
And then the third piece is about ensuring top quality learning experiences. So we work with our network of member organizations across the world to help them design and accredit top quality.
And you guys are not tied to one faction of Agile.
No, actually, from the inception of ICAgile, it's been about sort of methodology neutral.
Okay.
And the reason is because we believe the whole point of agility is actually changing.
Okay.
The way you work based on the circumstances, situation, and not. You can start with a way of working, Scrum it may be, or whatever, but the whole point is the evolution and the inspect and adapt, and so
and more tools available.
Exactly.
To you.
So we want people to really get the mindset, the values and principles, and a set of tools to get started.
Yeah.
But not certify people or have people on a learning journey to just learn a methodology, but learn agility in general.
Okay. And this is something they can like start at the very beginning and go all the way through to like the coaching.
Oh yeah.
Expert
all that
level.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we've seen beautiful stories of people that literally have started from what does Agile mean to now being certified expert coaches, meaning they had to be in front of a panel of 3 other experts and demonstrate competency.
That's awesome.
And people say, yeah, you operate just like me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. So what new things? I know you've got a bunch of new stuff going on, but what's like one of the more recent things that you're very excited about?
You want me to start? Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
So I guess one of the things, as Shannon was talking about earlier, is looking at sort of what are the thought experts talking about right now.
Yeah.
And so 2 years ago, we really started seeing, Agile is moving beyond just sort of the technical domain, the development domain, and it's more than just now conversation. It's actually, we can actually see demonstration of people building competencies in a broader business agility domain. So we started the journey of building those learning tracks for business agility, starting from foundation, which is if you're not in a technical sector at all, what do you need to learn about the mindset, the learning mindset, the business agility in general? So that's the foundations. And then building upon that, we had sort of specialties in marketing. And that's really not just like sort of Scrum for marketing or like using, backlogs and sticky notes, but it really is a mindset shift from a selling mindset to a service mindset. And then we have finance as well, and HR talent, as we call it, and then leadership. So those are all tracks that we've launched over the past, 2 years?
I think,
to really start helping people on those journeys within the business agility space.
How do you guys define business agility? Like if because that is a phrase that is a little bit like Agile. And a lot of people use it a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to you guys?
I'll let you start this time.
Okay. So we talk a lot about just being responsive, being customer-centric, being value-driven, being self-organized, collaborative, empowered, et cetera. So.
Yeah, I think the organization of the future, being customer-centric, the motion moves, right? Like from being organizational centric where I am static and customers come to me. So even the marketing mindset, I'm selling, I'm bringing customers in to no, the customer is really where the power is. They have the gravitational pull and I need to be in motion.
To them,
I need to be in motion. I need to be agile and I need to serve them instead of sell to them. So that's a
big shift.
Yeah, it's a huge shift. It's a huge shift.
Okay. So I want to ask about the HR and the finance portions of this.
Yeah.
So one of the things I see is, you'll see the postings for like Agile Project Manager, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but how are you helping HR people understand what it is we do and what the terminology means and what to look for when they're interviewing people before they get passed on to the next step?
Yeah, so Ahmed was saying that the Agile marketing is not just about process or Kanban for marketing or Scrum for marketing. We're taking a very similar approach in the talent domain. So we're looking at how do you interview? How do you do more culture-driven interviews?
Oh, wow.
More, looking at using case studies, looking at really embedding people, getting people to think about what would it be like to work here. So really personalizing that process.
So that HR is selling the job to the candidate, maybe.
To a degree. So again, I think there's a tendency in our Agile community is to take our tools and apply them in the different domains. We're trying to, again, go to the mindset. Yeah. What is the true paradigm shift? What is the mindset shift that an HR specialist or professional needs to make to enable the organization to be more agile as a business?
So you're not just talking about hiring, you're talking about structure.
Exactly.
Everything.
I was going to say a few more examples. It's looking at compensation structures, and we talk so much about team collaboration, team behaviors, but then a lot of the incentive structures are based on individual results. So how do we look at that and incentivize team collaboration with our supporting HR structures, as well as managing performance and giving feedback and being much more
non-linear career paths, right? So in new organizations, in Agile organizations, the idea of linear career paths may not exist anymore, and you want people based on opportunity, because again, you're dynamic now as a business. Based on the opportunity, you want people to be excited and actually move without worrying about what does that mean for my career path here or there. So that's something that is within the HR mindset shift as well.
Stuff like retention is going to be an issue as well, right? Because it's so hard to find people. I mean, everybody I know is trying to find qualified, talented, agile people to come work at their companies. And if you don't have the right kind of environment, they're gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's also looking at, I think one of the learning outcomes on the track is something about orientation before day one or something. It's like you start that getting people into the culture and making sure that it's a mutual fit in the recruiting process, right? And I know just from personal experience, making too quick of a hiring decision, it tends to not be, even if there's an urgency or a need, it tends to really end up hurting a lot more than helping.
And so, it hurts both sides.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Every hire changes culture.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? Micro changes culture.
That's cool.
So that's an awareness HR people have to understand. And
which is very different from the way it used to be. Yeah.
Well, because if you look at a lot of the business operation functions, it was oriented around governance and protection versus enablement. Yeah. Right. And so today we want HR to enable the culture of agility. So we believe that HR is on the forefront of enabling business agility in companies. Okay. Yeah. Right. But because if you think about it, the most agile part of any organization is its people. Yeah. It's not its work systems. It's not its value streams. It's its people. Right. And which sort of group of people are most focused on that? It is HR. Okay. So that's why we're excited about this.
Yeah, and for years we've been talking about agility is achieved through people, not process, right? Yeah. Even before this movement and creating the Agile talent track. And so this is all, the resonance is just increasing as we do this.
Cool. Well, what about the finance side?
Money.
Yeah, money's important, but how are you helping people on the financial side take this mindset shift into the way that they're doing all the things that they have to do?
I'll let you start, and then
I'll start. And actually, this coincides pretty well with the business agility report that came out this week, talking about funding models really being a key to success, long-term success with business agility. Our pathway focuses on a couple of things: procurement. How do you make that more responsive, more agile, more collaborative? Looking at budgeting, funding models, doing that on more of a rolling basis, or just more blanket allocations as opposed to you have to justify every right, and that creates the wrong behavior, right? Okay. And so we look at that. We look at accounting practices. There are some regulatory and compliance stuff that you can't get around, but then how do you really socialize that? How do you get the rest of the organization on board to say how can we meet the same intent with a much more just easy to navigate process?
Okay. Yeah. And it again, going back to the same theme of enablement, right? Yeah. So a lot of finance cultures, subcultures are about protecting and the company from its own employees versus enabling the employees to gain opportunities to satisfy and delight the customer. That's a very different, but again, you need actually the tool. So there's a mindset shift, but also then how do I do this in real life? That's what the learning outcomes in the track really help.
So I want to offer one simple example. This when I worked at a large consulting company. Trying to think of a polite way to say it. They had an expense policy. So I knew how much I got every day, and I figured out how to like pocket most of that money and spend as little as possible. I moved to an Agile company. I'm told the expense policy is be responsible, and I have no idea how to deal with that. So it's not just the company doing it, but the people as well have to figure out how to cope with that, which I guess goes back to the HR thing a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's putting the autonomy and the accountability where the decision's being made, right?
Yeah, cool. 100%.
Okay. So what kind of trends are you guys seeing in terms of training and certification in general? Because that is something that continues to evolve and change as well. I mean, you've got these new courses, but what about the delivery of them?
So we're actually seeing with both talent and marketing, we're seeing probably at least they've only been out for 2 years, but more than doubling year over year and getting more and more traction. Finance is brand new, so it's a little too early to tell. I think we've only had one accreditation so far. Hoping that as people are getting more of this information around the importance of of funding models and financial practices for supporting and enabling business agility, we have high hopes for that to take off.
Okay.
Yeah. I think another trend we're seeing is as organizations start to scale, sort of learning Agile, a desire for more remote learning.
Okay.
And so we're taking proactive steps, again, as part of our mission, as Shannon said earlier, we want to advance the state of Agile learning. So yes, ideally face-to-face is great, but to understand the realities of scaling and budgets and all those kind of things, how can we innovate and put standards on from ICAgile's perspective so that when people accredit courses that want to be delivered in a remote way, we actually advance the state and the quality of that experience so that people actually I'll let you talk more about it.
Yeah. So I guess the short answer is, when people,
I did the long answer.
You're right. This might not be that short either.
Go ahead.
Let me take a step back here. No, but looking at when we go through an accreditation process for an in-person course, sometimes our partners will ask us, am I now allowed to deliver this remotely? And the immediate answer is no, because it needs to be designed for remote interaction. It doesn't mean you can't ever get there, but the worst thing you can do is take a slide deck
get them on Zoom and make them watch your slides.
Oh my goodness, yes. I mean, the learning is just not going to happen in that environment. And so we're actually working with a couple of experts around the world to really show people how we're running remote facilitation workshops for our trainer population and looking at how can you really get creative in terms of how you design things, and you can have as collaborative of an experience. It takes probably more prep. But once you get it down, you can sort of create the same sense of psychological safety in the room. And, there are tools out there that make you feel like you truly have a classroom, and then you can go into breakout rooms and practice exercises together. And if you're using something like Google Docs, your instructor can follow along and see where everyone is and figure out, I need to go help this group. So this is clearly not a short answer, but giving an example. Just giving examples tactically of what you really need to do to deliver a strong remote learning experience.
So I'm curious about how the accreditation of the course works. Like the trainers are creating courses, you guys are evaluating them and then saying, we bless this, go ahead and do it.
Pretty much.
And you're also providing them with tools to learn how to do the remote thing.
So when somebody wants to accredit a course, they get a number of different artifacts around what is the specific curriculum for the domain that they're teaching in, as well as what is our course design guidance, et cetera. And then we actually work over Zoom collaboratively with them to complete the accreditation.
So co-creation.
And then there's feedback that happens along the way. They have to get to the point where they're meeting all of the learning outcomes at the level of depth necessary for the acceptance criteria. And then we also look at their design. So we do have people who fail an accreditation the first time because the course is not sufficiently interactive. So we'll give them feedback on that.
Until it's up to the standards it needs to be.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's where we really believe as part of our mission is to keep pushing those standards up. As again, technology changes, as we understand more about how people learn, the cognitive sciences is to keep pushing that bar, advancing that state of Agile learning, because again, we are changing mindsets here. We're not just training people on tools.
Well, and if you're not willing to inspect and adapt yourselves,
exactly,
you're not Agile either.
That's actually one of the things we look for in instructors is that evidence of a growth mindset. And we talk about what they're doing to improve themselves and how they receive feedback and we do things in that process to make sure that they've got that. Cool. Because an instructor who comes in and thinks that he or she is the only one who is the expert in the room, that's,
very
you guys
scary.
are laughing knowingly at that.
And to that point, as Shannon was introducing ICAgile, bringing those experts together to actually define the learning outcomes, that's an evolutionary process too. Yeah. So, for example, Agile coaching, what was it, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago when we... Maybe 7. Yeah. So when we first set the learning outcomes for Agile coaching, that really pushed the industry forward around what it means to be an Agile coach and what competencies you need to learn. And now that has evolved 7 years later, we refreshed.
2 years ago, we started that work probably 2.5 years ago, and we
want to keep those up to date, so that we're not like just we're teaching things that are 10 years old or 20 years old. So that's an evolutionary process as well to make sure that it stays advancing the state of Agile learning.
Cool. This is awesome. So if folks want to learn more about it, just go to ICAgile.
ICAgile.com.
Okay. Yeah. And if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, they can reach me at... That's a good question. How do you reach me? So we have info@ICAgile.com. I'm Shannon at ICAgile.com. That's pretty easy. I was going to say I'm on Twitter. I'm at Shannon Ewan. So I can be found.
All right. And?
Sidky at ICAgile.com. And look us up on Google. You'll find us.
All right. Cool. Thank you very much for coming by.
Thanks, Dave.